and welcome back everyone. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of our discussion on the play A Dance of the Forest. In part 1, we looked at the background and the context of the play. Now, in part 2, we will move forward with the analysis. Through this, we will see how Wole Soyinka uses post-colonial drama to reflect on Nigeria's independence and the challenges of building a just society. Number 1 analysis. Haunted nationhood. Post-colonial identity in Soyinka's A Dance of the Forest. In A Dance of the Forest, Wole Soyinka presents post-colonial identity as a site of tension, rupture, and painful self-examination, rather than a triumphant victory of cultural wholeness. Written for Nigeria's independence celebration in 1960, the play rejects the celebratory mode of nationalist drama and instead forces its audience to confront the darker, cyclical patterns of corruption and betrayal that threatens the very foundations of the new nation. Soyinka dramatizes the haunted nature of identity through the return of the dead man and the dead woman. These spirits emerge during the gathering of the tribes, demanding justice for crimes committed in the past with them. The dead man declares bitterly, "We are the remnants of the waste ye left behind. We are the unique dead who will not let you forget." Instead of being honored, they are ignored and dismissed by the living, who refuse to confront the truth of their guilt. This refusal symbolizes the danger of a post-colonial nation that seeks to begin anew while suppressing historical responsibility. Identity here is shown as fractured. The living cannot move forward because they are burdened by unresolved injustices. By forcing the living to encounter the dead, Soyinka suggests that post-colonial identity is always haunted by both colonial and pre-colonial histories. The play's reliance on Yoruba myth and ritual deepens this exploration. The forest spirits intervene, revealing that national identity is not simply political, but spiritual and cosmic. Aruni, the limping spirit, warns, "The world must learn, if it will, that men who forget are doomed to relive their shame." The forest becomes a liminal space where the living and the dead, the past and the present meet in confrontation. Through ritual, Soyinka demonstrates that true identity must be negotiated in dialogue with ancestral memory, not through its denial. The mythic framework elevates the struggle for identity beyond nationalism into a metaphysical drama of continuity, responsibility, and renewal. Soyinka also critiques the failure of unity in post-colonial Nigeria. The gathering of the tribes, meant to be a celebration of national wholeness, instead exposes selfishness, tribal conflicts, and personal ambition. One of the elders remarks with cynicism, "Each comes with a basket, not of gifts, but to carry away spoils." The characters, driven by greed and rivalry, reflect a society unable to rise above its divisions. Instead of forging our collective identity, they reproduce the patterns of corruption inherited from both colonial rule and indigenous history. By portraying this breakdown, Soyinka insists that post-colonial identity cannot be built on false notions of harmony or simplistic unity. Finally, Soyinka portrays identity as an ongoing process rather than a fixed essence. The cyclical nature of history in the play suggests that independence does not automatically guarantee transformation. The dead woman laments, "Today's victim is tomorrow's oppressor." Without critical self-examination, nations risk repeating the mistakes of both colonial masters and their own ancestors. Soyinka's vision is therefore cautionary. Requires moral courage, spiritual renewal, and the acknowledgement of the uncomfortable truths. It is less about reclaiming our negotiating contradictions between memory and forgetfulness, tradition and modernity, continuity and rupture. Through its mythic structure, spectral figures, and ritualistic confrontations, the play, A Dance of the Forest, asserts that postcolonial identity is fractured, contested, and burdened with historical memory. As Aroni concludes in the play with the line, "The future is a burden, only the truth can lighten." Soyinka compels his audience to recognize that the future of the nation depends on a willingness to confront the ghosts of the past, rather than bury them beneath the illusions of the independence. The second perspective for interpretation of the drama is representation of African struggles in the play A Dance of the Forest. Wole Soyinka in Dance of the Forest offers a profound allegory of Africa's struggles during the transition from colonial rule to independence. Rather than glorifying the nationalist movement, Soyinka confronts audiences with the harsh realities of corruption, betrayal, and cultural dislocation. The play is simultaneously rooted in Yoruba cosmology and reflective of Africa's broader historical perspectives, struggles, dramatizing the challenges of a continent caught between memory and change. One of the central struggles in the play is the clash between African tradition and modernity, shaped by colonial intrusion. The arrival of the characters, like the stranger, signals the disruption of indigenous ways by foreign influences. The rituals, masquerades, and deities appear in tension with modern rationalist tendencies. This mirrors the post-colonial African dilemma, that is, how to participate in global modernity without erasing cultural heritage. Soyinka highlights this clash not to dismiss modernity, but to warn that a nation that loses its spiritual roots risks hollowing out its identity. Closely bound to this is the struggle for African identity. The mortals in the play are not heroic, they are flawed, hesitant, and trapped between their past crimes and their present responsibilities. Their weakness reflects the broader identity crisis facing post-independence of Africa, a continent caught between inherited colonial structures and indigenous traditions. The dead man and dead woman reappear as reminders that identity cannot be rebuilt through denial. It must confront the wounds of the history. As the dead woman laments, injustice breeds itself. Today's victim is tomorrow's oppressor. Here, Soyinka shows that identity emerges not from nostalgia or mimicry, but through a painful confrontation with the past failures. The play also dramatizes colonial oppression and its aftershocks. Colonialism fractured indigenous systems of justice and power, leaving behind instability and mistrust. Yet, Soyinka refuses to allow colonialism to bear sole responsibility. The characters like Mata Karibu and Madame Tortoise expose how African leadership itself has been complicit in cycles of corruption and abuse. By dramatizing betrayal from within, Wole Soyinka in the play underscores that Africa's post-colonial struggles are both external, colonial imposition, and internal, the misuse of freedom and authority. Beyond the colonial legacy, Soyinka emphasizes the post-independence struggles of governance, morality, and renewal. Independence is shown not as the end of struggle, but as the beginning of a more complex journey. The gathering of the tribes, meant to symbolize unity, collapses under the greed and rivalry. As one character cynically observed, each comes with a basket, not of gifts, but to carry away spoils. This dramatizes the disillusionment of the independence era, when the dream of collective freedom was undermined by selfish elites. The forest itself becomes a central metaphor for Africa's uncertain path. It is a liminal space where past, present, and the future converge. Within it, mortals confront their failures, spirits demand justice, and the unborn, symbolized by the half-child, waits to be realized. The half-child, trapped between life and death, embodies Africa's incomplete independence, a freedom yet to be fulfilled. As the forest head observes, it is enough that they discover their own regeneration. This line insists that Africa's renewal cannot come from colonial powers or external saviors, but must arise internally from an honest reckoning with its own history. Thus, the play A Dance of the Forest represents African struggles not as linear progress from colonization to liberation, but as a complex negotiation between memory, responsibility, and renewal. Wole Soyinka's vision is uncompromising. True independence is possible only if the commitment faces both colonial wounds and its own internal flaws. By weaving myth, ritual, and allegory, Soyinka presents Africa as a continent still in search of its full birth, a half-born child carrying both the burdens and the hopes of regeneration. After all these discussions, now let's move to the conclusion of this drama. In conclusion, A Dance of the Forest is more than a play. It is Soyinka's sharp commentary on the African condition at the dawn of independence. By dramatizing cultural clash, identity struggles, colonial oppression, and the challenges of post-colonial transition, the play represents Africa's broader historical reality. Through its symbolism, ritual, and allegory, Soyinka calls for honesty, responsibility, and renewal, urging Africans to confront their past in order to shape their future. In its refusal to romanticize the past or oversimplify the present, the play remains a timeless exploration of the struggles of African societies, striving for freedom, identity, and meaning in a complex post-colonial world. That is all for today. I hope you have a better understanding now after all the discussion of Wole Soyinka's play A Dance of the Forest. Thank you so much.